Good evening and greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Renewal Center's Tea Times Tuesday. We're so excited that you are joining us tonight. We want to say welcome to everyone that is joining us, and we just want to say happy Tuesday to everybody. We hope
Well,
everybody's Tuesday has been really great.
mhm.
We hope that you've had a great Tuesday. I'm telling you, at the Renewal Center, it was really nice today, but I'm telling you, we have been trying to beat the heat. I know you've been trying to probably beat the heat wherever you are, but we're glad that you are taking the time to join us on every fourth Tuesday at 7 p.m. That's when we have our special Tea Time Tuesday. And we want to welcome everyone. We're so glad that you are here with us. Go ahead and like this broadcast, share this broadcast on your social media platform. Let everyone know we're streaming live. We want to invite you into the conversation tonight, invite you in. Hi, Michelle. It's good to see you tonight. We
So,
want you to
righty.
go ahead and just invite everybody in. Tell your friends, tell your family, invite everybody in. We're also streaming live over there on YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, this is a good time to do it. Go ahead, like, share, subscribe so you can stay abreast on what we're doing. And so we want to just go right ahead to tell you to get your journals tonight, grab your tea. I know those of us, we're here. The team is ready tonight. We got our tea and we're ready. And get your journal because we are going to enter into a time tonight of just taking the time to go over our renewal practices tonight. We have a great time of dialogue waiting ahead of us. So once again, welcome to everyone. And we want to get our viewership up. So make sure that you are sharing it. And we
Yeah.
want everybody to join in with us tonight. Okay, well, before we actually get started on everything, I want to just go right in and we want to share our tea of the week, like we always do here at the Renewal Center. Our tea of the week is clementine tea. And so, if you're a big fan of the citrus family, you know, the tangerines, the oranges, and the lemons, you will probably really like clementine tea. You'll probably enjoy it because it's a very considered to be one of the most enjoyable of the citrus fruits. I just found that out. You know, I love tangerines and nectarines, not nectarine. What's the smaller, there's the other small ones, kumquats. I like those too. And so actually, this is a very good tea. It's very enjoyable amongst all the other citrus fruits. Clementine has a lot of properties. And you can find out if you take a moment to go look up the information on clementine tea. It's enjoyable hot and we can enjoy it cold. And so we really need that now because it's really been hot. I mean, it's been hot for months now. And so it has a very sweet taste, and I'm sure that you will enjoy it. Team, do you guys like clementine tea?
Honestly, I don't think I've ever had it, so I'll have to figure that out.
I think
I
the
do.
how about you, Hope?
I do. I like it cold.
Okay. Yeah,
hmm
see, now Hope likes it nice and cold, and we need that, don't we? You know,
Yeah, right now.
yes, we need it about right now. And
hmm
so I'm telling you, we're so excited to share our tea of the week to everybody. Clementine tea. And if you ever get a chance to taste it, let us know here at the Renewal Center. Okay, once again, I just want to reshare this again. Go ahead and share this on your social media platforms tonight. What is your tea of choice? Go ahead and put it in the chat, tea timers. You got your tea with you tonight? Go ahead and put what you're having in the chat so we can share it with our tea time community. And while you're doing that, I want to ask you, are you ready to take a moment to stop and pause? You
Mm.
know, we've been running around driving, we've been looking at computer screens pretty much all day. A lot of us have been talking a lot. Are you ready to just slow down and take a pause? Well, our director of digital renewal, Hope T. Melton, she's going to take us into a time of locating ourselves for those of you that are new to tea time. So she's going to take us into that.
All right. Well, again, good evening, everyone, and welcome. And this is our locate ourselves. This is what we do here in our tea time community, where we take a time to pause, reset, and build resilience. So here, we're just going to take a time to pause. We just kind of want to relax and just kind of get the thoughts of the busy day out of the way, kind of clear your mind and just begin to take those nice breathing in and breathing out, and just taking a moment to just center ourselves and locate ourselves so we can be prepared for today's tea time. So we're just going to take a moment and locate ourselves. Just a few more seconds. All right. Isn't that great? Isn't that wonderful? Don't you feel better? Don't you feel refreshed? Don't you just feel clear in our mind and our thoughts as we've taken that time to pause? And so we're just going to go ahead and go right into our tea time this evening, our special tea time this evening.
All right. Thank y'all. This is good. This is good. We're going to get into some renewal practices. So if you're out there and you are connecting with us, please hashtag I am renewal and hashtag Tea Time Tuesday. Give us some likes, some hearts, some thumbs up. Let's increase our engagement this evening. Want to know that you're out there. So if you're out there and you're with us and connected this evening as a tea timer, let us know. Please tag your friends, tag your family, and please share as we engage in renewal practices. Our whole focus behind Tea Time, we have it every first, second, and third Tuesday at 12. And we pause, we reset, we increase our resilience, and we do that at this time of community. So that's the emphasis here. So good to have everyone on. Thank you so much, Nichelle, for that. Anybody else you're out there, let us know that you're connecting with us this evening for our Tea Time Tuesday. So for our renewal practices, hopefully you have your journals, as Mel said. And so we want to get into our renewal practices for this evening. One of the key things I like to focus on for our tea time this evening really has to deal with, I have a very interesting subject, and perhaps this would help you. And we're going to emphasize this evening the mirror of self-reflection. The mirror of self-reflection. Because we're creating our lives as we go along. And so we're going to focus on the mirror of self-reflection. Say, well, why are we focused on self-reflection? Well, many times the things that we say and do in our environment really is a reflection of what's going on inside of us. So what we're experiencing outside of us, many times in our homes, in our offices, in our cars, in our social space, is a reflection of what's going on inside of us. And so I want to focus on how we can use what's around us in our world that as a mirror to help us become more aware of where we are in our state of mind, the state of our lives, the state of what we do. And so how nothing is wasted in our experiences in the environments in which we're in. So we're going to focus specifically on, again, the mirror of self-reflection if you're out there using your journal. And so the mirror process is a technique to help us see the world as a mirror. A technique to help us see the world as a mirror. What does that mean to you? Seeing the world as a mirror. I'd love to hear your ideas and your thoughts, folks, on what it is to use a technique as the world as a mirror. What it means from a renewal practice perspective is that the world that we're living in and the environment that you're in, how does it speak directly to you? Many times we're in environments, we may feel tension, we may feel challenges, we may even feel freedom and a good atmosphere that's warm and welcoming and hospitable. So how do we actually see the world? And we use it as a mirror. It's a process or a technique for self-reflection and development. So whatever is happening in your world and your environment, you can use it as a tool for reflection. So I just want to take a pause here for a moment. I want you to just rethink and think about your space where you are right now. And I want you to think about the spaces where you were today. You may work from home. You may go into different offices. You might transition in different spaces. And I want you to think about the world that you're in right now. And I want you to consider, what are you seeing and how does that mirror your life? Take a pause, and we're going to really work this renewal practice as a technique. It's called the mirror process. So, Mel, Hope, any ideas or any thoughts on just initially this process of the mirror process? What comes to your mind or comes to your thoughts in this area?
Well, this is kind of practical, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about when I came home today, when I left the Renewal Center and I came home today, and I walked in the door and the house was in order. Everything was cleaned up and, put away. And actually, not saying that, we're junky person or anything. What I'm saying is that it felt really nice to walk in to an orderly space. I was already kind of driving home, trying to get through the traffic, trying to hurry up and beat rush hour. But as soon as I walked in the door, it was so calm and it was orderly. So I didn't have to put anything away. I didn't have to organize anything. I just went right into my task, just the practicality of the day of fixing dinner and sitting down and enjoying my dinner and getting ready for tea time. So
Excellent.
So
it was orderly.
Yeah.
As you walked in, it wasn't a ruckus. It wasn't all over the place. You walked in and there was structure. Excellent. Right. We're going to come back to that, and we're going to really, how do we use that as a technique for where you are? All right. Thank you for sharing that. Hope, what about you? Any thoughts on this whole concept behind mirroring and how the mirror process is a technique to help us see the world as a mirror?
Well, for me, today it was just something as simple as just taking time to reflect. I had moments during my day, my work day, and opportunities to take time and just reflect on different positive things that I have encountered throughout the day. And so that for me, brings a place of calmness and peace, and also enjoy and also being grateful. So I know it sounds like simple. I just took the time to do that. Also, I took the time to, deal with my plant. I know people like the plant. My plant that I have, that I like, water and touch and move around and things of that nature. So that was good for me. That's that's what for me. So just having that time to just reflect today, and that time to just engage with a plant and water it and move it around. And it's a pretty big plant. It's grown a lot. So I got opportunity to look at it, really to see the progression of the leaves on the plant, how it's growing, how it's greening, how big, and the progression, how big it's gotten. And so I had the opportunity to do that today, and that was very pleasing to me.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. So we have one where it was order, walked in, things were neat and in their place. Then in your end, you talked about the plant and the attentiveness that you had to the plant. Okay. So again, those are techniques. You're looking at what's in your environment. Why are we doing this as a renewal practice? Many times is because we're so quick to not notice anything. We're quick to not notice anything because we're moving, we're foaming, we got something we got to do. It's the next thing we have to do. So the whole goal behind our tea time and our renewal community is about knowing how to notice, Nichelle says here that I see the world as mirror of endless possibilities available for me to embrace and excel in greatness. Yes, endless possibilities. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at our immediate environment, where you are. I'm in my office in my home. All right. And so, Carmela, you said you were at the Renewal Center earlier today. So I want you to think about where you are, because we're going to do a renewal practice here. And good evening to you, Nicole. Hello. Where's your tea of choice tonight, Nicole? Good to have you on. Thank you. Here's what we want to do. we're going to work on some practices here that I think will help us navigate how we notice what's in our environment. Now, let's break this down. Here's the first thing. We talked about a technique to help us to see the world as a mirror. So I'm going to give you 3 statements this evening. And what you're going to do is you're going to create a question behind each of the following statements. A question behind each of the following statements. What this does is it opens up your ability to notice, because many times we don't know what's in our peripheral. We don't know what's in our viewing and around us many times because we don't pay attention. We're so used to it. We're used to certain things being certain places, or we're not pausing to notice what's around us. Yeah. So the whole purpose behind this mirror process is to help us see the world as a mirror for us. All right, let's go to number 1. Number 1 is everything in my life is my reflection. That's number 1. Everything in my life is my reflection. So in other words, there are no accidents really or events that are unrelated to me. Whatever is experiencing in my world, it's not an accident. It's not an event that is unrelated. Everything in my life is my reflection. Now let's pause. And I want you to, what were the instructions? To create a question behind each of the following statements. And I'm going to do one for you. I'm going to give you a way to help you develop this mirror process. So I'm asking myself the question, what is in my environment that brings freshness to me, that refreshes me? What is in my environment that I place in my environment that refreshes me? Basic question, but that's my question. So what is yours? As you look at what's around you, and if everything in my life is my reflection, so if I were to use Carmela's order and Hope's plant, what's the question you want to ask yourself or ask in general? Hope, what's your question? Can't hear you.
I was saying I was thinking.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. Mel,
Yeah.
What's your question? Let's just flow with this.
Okay. My question is, how can I stay in this place of being energized?
How can I stay in this place of being energized? Okay. So now you're asking a process question.
Mm-hmm.
How can I stay in this place of being energized?
Yeah.
So if you pause there enough to answer the question, you'll uncover more development and self-reflection. Mm-hmm. So I want you to answer the question that you just asked yourself. Hope, what is your question? Do you have one? You're still working it?
Mine is, my question is, how can I stay attentive to my environment?
How can I stay attentive to my environment? Okay, write that down. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and put that in your journal. How can I stay attentive to my environment? Now, what we just did was we did a brief exercise where we looked at some statements and said, I'm going to ask a question because questions cause us to pause. They cause us to ponder. They cause us to uncover. They cause us to consider. And so what we're opening up is, again, the mirror of self-reflection, which is a technique to help us see the world as a mirror. So Carmela has her question. Hope has her question. Go ahead and write those questions down. If you're out there, audience, what is your question? Please place your questions in the comments. What is it that you're considering as you're looking at your world? And so what the instruction for the renewal practice today is, create a question behind each of the following statements. Statement number 1 was, everything in my life is my reflection. So did you answer your question, perhaps? Mm-hmm. What's your answers? What are your answers? So state your question and then give your answer.
Okay, mine is, how can I stay in this place of being energized? The answer is keep doing what I'm doing, keep putting things in the space where it is, keep the colors. From where I'm sitting, I have all my books, I have all my inspiring things around me. And as I answer that question, is to keep doing what I'm doing, keep putting things in the space that where they are, to stay motivated.
So that's reinforcing.
Mm-hmm.
You're reinforcing what you're doing. You're looking at your choice of colors, your choice of where
Yeah.
things are in your room. All right. Reflection. Hope, what was your question? And then what was your answer?
My question was, how can I stay attentive in my environment? And my answer is by taking moments to slow down and being intentional about what's around me.
Okay.
Being more intentional and paying attention on what's around me, what's in my atmosphere, what's in my surroundings, and utilizing everything that's around me.
Thank you. So you're looking at, and earlier you talked about your plan. So that would cause you to pause.
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine this. Those of you, you're constantly busy all day in your jobs, meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting, back to back. You constantly imagine somewhere in your day, you paused and you asked yourself this. You said, okay, everything in my life is my reflection. Perhaps that's in your meetings, your virtual meetings, your conversations. So what are you doing differently where you would pause and ask yourself a question? If this meeting is going the way that it is going, what should I do differently? Because that meeting is a reflection of where I am. Well, other people are in that meeting. We're talking about taking responsibility for what's happening in your world.
Yes.
So again, everything in my life is my reflection. My relationships, my friendships, the conversations that I have, the spaces that I enter into on a daily basis. And so the goal is to help us pause long enough to know how to use where we are as a reflection of what's going on inside of us. So we can see that all these things are related. We don't take enough time to see how events or circumstances are related. Okay, we have a question coming in to that statement. Okay, Nichelle says, how can I restructure my schedule to add more time for R&R daily?
That's a good question.
All right. So how can I restructure my schedule to add more time for R&R daily? So Nichelle, the next step would be to answer that question in self-reflection. Again, how can I restructure? So what Nichelle will do is begin to answer that question comprehensively, reflectively, introspectively. That is how we develop ourselves. That's how we manage the energy that we're giving. Matter of fact, it helps you understand when your best energy is, when you're asking yourselves these types of questions based upon a statement. So we just did a practice where we looked at a statement about our environment. And again, we were looking at the realities that everything in my life is my reflection. So that means if I see or feel something, if it has any impact on me, how did I bring that in my life?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's renewal practice number one. Let's go to number two. Number two would be never put yourself down for the reflections you see. Never put down yourself. Never put yourself down, for the reflections you see. That's statement number two. Now, remember, there were no practices that were asking questions or framing a question after every statement we bring on the screen in this exercise. Never put yourself down for the reflections you see. All right. So, audience, tea timers, let me know that you're out there. Let us know that you're there. What are you gleaning from this? How is this connecting with you? We see we got some viewers on. Hopefully you're taking this time to pause, to reset, and to build and increase your resilience. All right, we had a second statement. Carmela, Hope, what's your question based upon this statement here?
Okay, I said, okay, the question was, the statement was never put yourself down for this reflections, for the reflections you see. My question is, how did I get here and how can I improve this?
How did I get here
Mm-hmm.
and how can I improve this?
Yes.
All right. Thank you for those questions. Anybody else out there in the comments, please share with us your questions that you're creating. Again, this is about, one more time, about the mirror of self-reflection. We started out by talking about everything in my life is my reflection. Number two, never put yourself down for the reflections you see. I'm going to share mine. I wrote down, how is this a gift to me? How is this a gift to me? So I'm going to sit with that for a moment. I think about this statement and I say, okay, I'm not going to put myself down for the reflections I see. So how is this a gift to me? So for me, what that's going to do is cause me to see things from a different lens. We go to the comments and Hope, I know you're over there. See you're writing, so I'm going to come back to you here in a minute. Mel said what I was going to say. Now you got to come up with your own question, Michelle. So, Hope, what's your question for that statement?
My question is, how can I reflect and improve my perspectives?
How can I
improve? How can I reflect and improve my perspectives?
How can I reflect and improve my perspectives?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we all need to meditate on these questions here. This is good stuff. All right, now here what we're doing is we're using this process of mirroring, a mirror process. We don't do this enough. We just keep going through life, and we don't pause to say what's going on in my world right now. I'm looking around me. Mel walked in her house. There was order. Hope said there was a plant. So we look at a plant and say, how can I breathe in this freshness today? Maybe I need to ask that question. How am I rejuvenating myself when you pour the water in there? You start asking yourselves questions based upon what's in your environment. That's self-reflection. Mel's house is orderly. So it may say, how can I continue to keep order in my life where I don't have all these disruptions coming in? And so she builds her resilience or builds her capacity to bounce back when things try to disrupt her order. You see where I'm going? So this is a principle that when you're busy, many of you got high demands and high schedules and interruptions throughout your day and disruptions and distractions. This is a way to pause and use the mirror process to renew you during your day. All right, here comes a question. Can I enlist the help of my grands, little assistants, to take on some basic duties? Well, the answer is definitely yes, you can enlist them. So the question is, will you delegate? Yes, you are going to delegate. All right, who can do what? Here's what they can do. Thank you for that question. All right, I appreciate all these questions that are coming up, because the more that you have questions, the more that you have an uncovery of what's inside of you and what you're learning from the environment that you're in. All right, let's keep moving here. First of all, let me pause here and ask the audience. I don't see a whole lot of comments, but I know we've got some viewers. Those that are out there at tea time, let me know how this is benefiting you today. What are some of the principles that you're gleaning, or how is this helping sharpening your saw, sharpening what you're doing here, your axe today? How is this helping you maintain clarity on self-reflection as we are having this renewal practice today? Before we move forward to the next renewal practice, I just want to also invite those of you that are maybe viewing Tea Time for the first time to please feel free to download the Renewal Center's mobile app. We have a mobile app. Please feel free to download. You can get our digital content, our Monday Motivational Word. You can access our blog, our video, and our digital audio content, our announcements, prayer requests. Stay connected to us with the services and programming that we are providing here in our community here in Concord, North Carolina, but also in our what we call global community, which is global and local. Our digital community. Please feel free to connect with us. by typing in the Renewal Center, and you'll see our logo. Download our mobile app and connect with us. And also, this is Giving Tuesday. So if the tea time is a strength to you, and you're like, I'd like to connect with the Renewal Center, we have several different services here. We have grief recovery services, individual grief sessions. We are planning for our GPS group sessions, which is grief, pain, and stress support groups. So there's ways you can contact us at therenewalcenters.com. Also, give us a call at our office, and we have an intake process so you can participate. That any form of loss or struggle or grief, we're here to help renew you. And so we want to invite you to an opportunity to connect with the Renewal Center on our Giving Tuesday, various ways you can give to us digitally. So I'm going to bring this information up on the screen. We are a nonprofit organization here in North Carolina. And so we'd like you to consider partnering with us here at the Renewal Center for our vision to help renew people and restore lives, to see them experience wellness and well-being, because you were created to be well. And so we want to help you in that journey. So these are the different ways that you can give. All right. If you're out there, please let us know that you're connected. Before we go forward, what are some thoughts, perhaps, Hope or Mel, that's popping up in your mind right now, just concerning the last two practices that we just did, those two statements and those two questions about, or just in general, about self-reflection and this mirror process?
Well, for me, what's popping up first in my mind is just the opportunity to take a pause. In order to be able to do these things or ask these questions or move forward, like you said, sometimes we're so in a place of movement and being busy and going from here to there and going from one meeting to another meeting, or going shopping, or doing whatever we're doing to run our households and the roles and things that we're in. This is, for me, it's sticking out to be more in a place of pausing and be intentional about, seeing and taking that time to see what's right in my environment, to see what's going on with me, taking time to pause to see what's going on with me. And so I think sometimes we just don't do that enough. And sometimes we just don't ask those questions that we need to ask ourselves, how am I maximizing my environment? Another thing, for me is the music that I have. Sometimes I have to remind myself there. It's just little things to just be able to take that time for self. So for me, this is very insightful because it's telling us, as we know, tea time represents to take time to pause. And this is giving us the opportunity to pause and see what's going on as we are looking in that, and take time to reflection, taking that time to reflect upon what's going on with ourselves.
Thank you for sharing that. Carmela, any thoughts from you today?
Yes, I was thinking on that last exercise that we have the opportunity to turn the dial. I started thinking about a dial, to turn the dial to reset the environment that we're in. It helps us to back up for a moment and assess what's going on. And so I like the fact that, okay, that when we turn that dial to reset, it's turning it all the way back again and starting from scratch. So I like that we have opportunities to influence the environment that we're in a positive way if it's going left. And if we're already in a positive place, well, what can we do to foster more of it? And we can still reset it again to continue what we're doing. So I really like this exercise. I think it's a great exercise.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have a few comments coming in here. Sharon Week says, listening while driving this evening. All right. Powerful session. Thank you for listening in. Thank you for listening in. Please feel free to tag and share with your friends. Welcome again to Tea Time, everyone. I want to go into our last statement concerning this exercise. All right. The last one was never put yourself down for the reflections that you see. My question was, how is this a gift to me? Here's the last statement. Problems are messages. Problems are messages. So what's the question behind the statement, problems are messages? See, folks, it's all about perception and lens many times, what's coming into our lives. And so self-reflection is also about what we're experiencing, what's happening in our world. And so our statement was problems are messages. So what's questions? What's the question you're going to ask yourself? That's the exercise here, because we're focusing on the mirror process. That's a technique to help us see the world as a mirror. How do we do that? By creating a question behind these statements that we have this evening. So our last statement, one more time, is problems are messages. All right. I'm going to write down my question for this. I wrote down the question, what am I learning through this? What am I learning through this? How am I being changed? How am I being formed and shaped? I even wrote down, how am I going to get paid from this? I even wrote that down. Guess I knew where my money was. So anyway, problems are messages. Mel Hope, any ideas? What were some of the questions that emerged from within with you when you thought about that? Oh, here's Renita. Renita says something. Says, what can I learn from this situation? Okay, anybody else?
I said the same thing, Nita.
Okay.
The same exact thing. I said, what is it that I'm learning from this? And then, but my first question was, am I interpreting what's going on accurately? As we were referring back to, because the question was, the statement was, problems are messages. And so my question was, well, am I interpreting what's going on accurately? What is it that I'm learning from this?
Okay. Wow. All right, here are a couple of more questions that are coming in. What do I need to do to address the problem? What do I need to do? What can I do differently? How can I do this differently?
Wow.
It's interesting to see these process questions, discovery questions. Very good. Now that means the next staff meeting you run into, the next meeting you have, the next conflict you have, the next challenge you have, instead of reacting, what are you going to do, folks? You're going to pause. You're going to do a renewal practice, step back and say, this is a self-reflection. Let me ask a question so that I can shift the reflection of what's taking place. Hope, I know you're eager to share because I see you writing.
I just wrote what I'm sorry.
It's all right. This is a renewal practice.
Well, what am I receiving from this? That's what I wrote. What am I receiving
from this?
Yes.
Okay. So here's the important step in this journey is to know how to pause and answer your question. Do not rush to do anything. Simply sit there and let the answers come to you. Here's another question. Is this a long-term benefit or a temporary Band-Aid? And if you find out it's a long-term benefit, then how is this going to benefit me? If a temporary Band-Aid is this a quick fix? Is it a workaround? Is it something that's temporary? Both have merit. Sometimes you may need it long-term. Other times it may be temporary. How can I do this differently? Maybe there's something I need to think differently to do something else differently. Dr. Paul Brown, hello, Dad. How you doing out there? What procedures do I need to employ to get to the root of the problem? So now here's a procedural problem. Now you're going to write some standard operation procedures. The doctor's in the building. We need some standards. Maybe we do. You see what's happening when you work on self-reflective mirroring process. It just causes you to take your time.
Yeah.
Some of y'all, I'll tell you, tomorrow y'all gonna get up in the morning, y'all gonna be looking at everything. What is this traffic?
That's I was laughing because I thought some of us are going to be reflecting all day long.
That's right. Going off when that person cutting you off on the interstate. What did I just learn from that? To say something in the car and they can't hear me? No. So no, again, but here's my last renewal practice for this again. And today, folks, we're talking about the importance of the mirror of self-reflection. And that's what this is about. The mirror process is a technique to help us see the world as a mirror, because we are creating our lives as we go along. Our experiences, our circumstances, and our situations, we're creating it. And so it does teach us something that's important. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Something key in waiting for the answer. Yes, we got to wait. We rush.
Yeah.
So when you're developing these questions about self-reflection, stick around for the answer instead of rushing into the next. This will help you after staff meetings. This will help you during those virtual meetings where you're on Teams or Zoom or whatever system you're on, and you go off mute or you go on mute, and then you just, you turn the camera off and you're doing something else and you're not really paying. Come on. So this is important that we learn how to pause. That's part of a renewal practice, is pausing, looking at where we are in our environment, in our reflections, and trying to learn from my surroundings. All right? We're learning from our surroundings because our surroundings are reflections of what's going on inside of us. That includes your car. All right? So again, let me bring up one last slide, and I really want you to think about this. And before we finish our practice for this evening. Okay, here we go. So this would be, how do we find our reflection? So we can do several different ways of looking at our environment. Mess finding. What is mess finding? Mess finding is looking at the mess and saying, how does this mess teach me anything? Instead of avoiding it. How did this get messy? Or there's fact finding. What's known and what's unknown that I'm looking at? What's missing? What's needed? What information am I seeing, or what information do I need to see? Problem finding. What problem? And behind this problem, there's an what? Opportunity. And I'm going to bring this back up next month in my first tea time, all right? We're going to come back to this and really use this as an exercise. Idea finding. How am I seeing different ideas? Am I looking for ideas from my atmosphere, from my environment? Or are we too much in a rush that we don't pause to look at what's going on inside, around us? So let me go through this again. Mess finding, fact finding, problem finding. I hope this is expanding your mindset this evening. Idea finding. I was writing a paper and I doodle. I kind of check out sometimes when I'm listening to lectures, and I started doodling, and then I looked at what I was drawing, and an idea came out for a part of my paper while I was doodling. I was sitting there and I know not of y'all probably very good in your attention span. Sometimes I don't have it. And I'm sitting there and I begin to recognize, wow, I was actually creating something because I took the time to go back and look at it again. And then as a result of that, even the Renewal Center logo came from a doodle. This RC, and I'm just writing, and they do this. And so sometimes, folks, when you look at your environment, you can get a message from mess. You can get information from facts, or what facts I don't have. What information do I need to have behind every problem? Perhaps I need to learn how to generate something different. Am I pausing enough to look at ideas? Am I converging ideas to bring forth solutions, or exploring the barriers? Like if you hit a dead end or a barrier, are you willing to sit there and explore, why have I hit a wall? Yeah. And then lastly, of course, is action finding. Before we do anything else in ACT, let's look at the mess, the facts, the problem, the ideas, the solutions, and then the actions that need to take place. And you can find that right there in your house, right there in your office, in your rooms, right there in your environment. So that's our renewal practice for today. I know you're like, oh. Mel Hope, what are your thoughts on that last slide, that last practice? I'm going to bring it back up again because I didn't do justice to it tonight. But I wanted to end with that as a cliffhanger for later on. But I want to get your thoughts and your perspectives as it relates to reflection and mirroring our environment, how this perhaps we can find our reflections in these areas. Any thoughts?
I'll say that pausing to reset and engaging in reflection, it pushes us to learn what's going on and bring about solutions and how we can make a change. And, looking at this diagram, find your reflection, it shows, what processes we're in, how can we assess. And then I like the fact that as I went back to talk about that dial again, some of these things could be done simultaneously. Not just like one area, but you can move in and out in all of these areas.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that because it is on a circle. So it shouldn't be linear. This could be happening all the time. They're not necessarily steps or methods. These are considerations of how we self-reflect or how we look at the mirroring that we're experiencing. Hope any ideas that you may have on looking at finding your reflection. Any thoughts on this?
Well, for me, again, these things for me can be used all simultaneously. It's just, understanding for me which one I'm using at the time or why I'm using it at the time. So I think this is a really good for just in that particular side, in that slide, if you can put it back up one more time for me. The last one, it says find your reflection. So there again, there's a reflection that's taking place, even though it's being used simultaneously. It's good to find which reflection that you're actually kind of doing. Like if I'm in, solution finding or idea finding or action finding, problem finding, whichever one, even though they're being used simultaneously, that question that you have at the top says find your reflection. So even though we use them all, which one I'm using at that time. So
all right, thank you for that. Well, thank you for participating and giving your perspectives and feedback and insight. Thank everyone, all our tea timers. What is one of your takeaways from this evening's renewal practice? And again, our renewal practice was the mirror of self-reflection. And what is that mirror? The mirror process, a technique to help us see the world as a mirror. So when you're walking through your home, your office, driving in your car, wherever you are, your workplace, you'll begin to see how that reflects what's going on inside of you. Your head and your heart space, is revealed in the environment that you're in. And so it's important that we pause to be able to take an assessment or evaluate or look at where we are. And we did that by looking at statements and asking questions about those statements. So again, I want to thank everybody for connecting with us this evening. One more time, I just want to remind you today is Giving Tuesday. And so if you've received something beneficial from the Renewal Center, you've ever come by the Renewal Center, we want to invite you to come by to the Renewal Center at 159 Church Street Northeast here in the historic district of Concord, North Carolina. We are there from Tuesday to Friday. So you need a creative working space. We have a thought room and a library with well over 300 books. You need to pause. You need to connect on your wellness, your well-being. We are there for your thought, voice, art, and action. And here are ways you can give to the Renewal Center. So we are a nonprofit organization here in Concord, North Carolina. So please take a time and consider us as your nonprofit, as your place of giving, as your place of support. These are the ways that you can give to us here on Giving Tuesday. So we would consider us connecting with us as a renewer, you can give through our website at www.therenewalcenters.com/give, or you can go ahead and use your cell phone and text Renewal Center to 888-364-4483. Our PayPal and Zelle are the Renewal Center 2020 at Gmail. You can cash ask us at Cash Renewal Center and Venmo at Renewal Center. Also, if you want to mail a check or money order to P.O. Box 1381, Concord, North Carolina, 28026. We do have our location, so we are looking to strengthen our operation budgets. There are several needs that we have within the actual facility to help upgrade it as we go into year number 3. I'd like you to really consider supporting the Renewal Center's vision. One, our value systems are revealing Christ, renewing minds, restoring lives, and reforming culture. And so there's various ways through our programming that we're able to help strengthen you. Want to remind you also to download our mobile app. And if you are free the first Wednesday in September, we're going to be kicking off our Reforming Culture series each Wednesday at 7:30. And so we're going to be focusing on the mind of Christ, or the Christ mind, this year. We are excited about that. So if you're a leader, you want to continue to grow, you want to continue to expand and deepen your mind transformation, we encourage you to come to the Reforming Culture on Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Go to our media pages as well as our website or our mobile app, and you can register to obtain the virtual link. And then lastly, I want Hope to share with us, so I can go ahead and share it since we're all on here. Hope, who is one of our directors here on our team and our ministry team, her ministry, Hope Diamonds, has a second Dig Deep prophetic encounter. The theme this year is divine insight. Divine insight. So I'm graciously been invited to be a speaker, and so is Carmela. And so we serve together in ministry. It's going to be a hybrid time, so you can come on site or you can register for the digital link. And it's going to be September 29th and September 30th, Friday and Saturday. We're going to start at 7:30 on Friday and 11 a.m. on Saturday, September 30th. So please follow Hope T. Melton or Hope Diamonds Ministries for more information, and you can register at the link. So we're looking forward to being a part of that, and we hope to see you there. A few more comments, a few more takeaways. Yes, thank you so much, Nichelle, for being on. Hopefully this was helpful to help you dig in very good. Utilizing this diagram can help with processing during self-reflection. Different points providing new perspective. Thank you so much, Monique, for sharing that. Nichelle says again, my biggest takeaway is waiting for an answer instead of being a little miss, I got this. Yes, pausing.
That's good.
Taking a break in order for you to be able to build and strengthen yourself. So before we log off, I just want us to go out with a renewal practice and a locate yourself exercise. All right, team? So I'm going to bring up the video, and I just want you to take 1 minute to pause and think about what is happening in your world, happening in your environment, and what transformation you're going to experience as a result of what we talked about today in mirroring your reflection. So I'm going to bring that up, and then that'll be our closeout for this evening. So just find a space, please, and pause. And we'll locate yourself, and we will see you the next time here on Tea Time. Have a good evening.